basic income. First, we allow for innovation. The modern economy is going beyond mere production and focusing on new ideas, be it having to do with creativity, the information age, or improvements to current technology. This move towards a creative economy is led by risk takers who are willing to give up current opportunities in hopes of creating entirely new sectors of revolutionary products. However, innovation and creativity are risky ventures, something which their first speaker already admitted, and often require huge commitment, sometimes even foregoing a job. That is why many of these risk takers tend to be from more well-off families, because this will provide them with a safety net if their innovation were to fail. If we seek to move to a modern economy, we must give everyone the space to innovate and be creative. This space is created when we guarantee a universal basic income, because this means that anyone who wants to innovate can do it anytime, because failure does not mean you fall into dire circumstances or become seen as a leech of the state. In fact, the most prominent lobby group for universal basic income in Bulgaria is the Artists Union of Bulgaria, who argue that the national creative scene is being stifled by state-dictated welfare schemes. Sure, there are risk takers from various backgrounds currently, but the economic environment is one that disincentivizes risk. We change this. A universal basic income provides an insurance plan of sorts if innovations were to fail. It emboldens entrepreneurial courage and breaks existing barriers to innovation, thereby creating a sustainable modern economy. The second way it does this is also because it allows for automation. Our society is gradually moving towards automation to create products that often outweigh the cost of these technologies to begin with. This is a sustainable form of economic growth, and in many cases, automation may be more cost efficient as it reduces bureaucracy and administrative costs. However, the greatest impediment currently is the issue of unemployment created with automation. With every technology put in place, many more workers are laid off. Unemployment is seen as terrible as individuals lose all semblance of agency and must live off the state welfare that is allocated on their behalf. This makes workers highly unwilling to accept automation, and that's why there's huge lobbying actions against this. By providing a universal basic income, we guarantee this income and therefore allow space for automation. For all these reasons, we stand firmly on Team Proposition.
Madam Speaker, this debate is not about the poor. It's about how best to help the poor. We told you from the offset that this is a debate about balance between giving money directly to individuals and plugging that money into services. We think Proposition shifts that balance radically towards giving money directly to individuals, and in doing so, they harm the poor and society as a whole. 3 things I want to do. Firstly, deconstruct their side, then do some reconstruction, and finally go into our last point on how you actually harm marginalized groups the most. But first, let's take a look at their side in a couple of points of rebuttal. The first thing we take exception to, once again, is their model. Because in many cases, I think Jason's POI still stands. But even if you don't buy the answer that you get there, we think in many cases, Proposition never tells you how much money they're actually going to give these particular individuals that are probably going to be able to change their life. That's a problem, because a lot of benefits that they talk about are contingent on giving these individuals a lot of money. How are you going to get the funds to do that? No thanks. But let's take a look at choice. They told you that you deserve your right to choose what to do with your own money. 3 responses. Firstly, let's remember that many of these individuals still have a job and still will have money that they can choose to allocate. The problem is on their side, their choice is limited when they actually can make the trade-off between reducing services and putting all of that money and directly giving it to people. That's a harm. But secondly, this is the state's money. Why should a government prioritize individual choice over getting a broader social good by putting money into education, by putting it into healthcare? You need a response from Proposition if they want to win this point. Thirdly, no, they can't actually. We think many individuals like myself are horrible at foreseeing costs as they don't save money. We think in many cases, services can act as a safety net. These services can actually help these individuals foresee costs in the future. No thanks. All of the examples they bring to you, Namibia, India, let's make it very clear. No country in the world has universal basic income. They wanted to talk about India. India only used 6,000 people and gave each person $24. That's a great policy if they want to defend it. No thanks. Second point of rebuttal, how it's better for individuals, they tell you you increase their income. 4 points against this. Firstly, the rich are going to be losing money on their side through their model of progressive taxation. So let's take the rich out. Secondly, the middle class. We think the middle class are probably only going to get a marginal benefit at best because they still have to go through progressive taxation and they're probably not going to be able to get much of that money back through universal basic income. So thirdly, the poor.